Celebrations. It's our birthday, and we have a very special lineup of guests for you all through the day. In fact, Mangalam did catch up with Prabha Narasimhan, who's the MD and CEO of Colgate Palmolive India, to discuss demand trends. Prabha expects the rural environment to remain volatile going forward. Listen in to this exclusive conversation.
What we are seeing is certainly a continued momentum behind premiumization. So we are seeing the premium products in our range do better and better, and we think that we have tremendous potential to drive that even further, whether that be Colgate Total or that be our Visible White whitening range of toothpaste, or even our more premium toothbrushes. All of these continue to have very strong double-digit momentum, and therefore we are seeing no abatement to premiumization. As far as rural India is concerned, it has been up and down. We're still not seeing a consistent recovery. We see a few green shoots, but nothing consistent that we can yet talk about saying this is, a precursor to continued growth in rural India. So that one we are still watching.
So with confidence, you can't say that the worst is behind rural India. Would that be the correct reading here?
Yeah, I think the reading is that we're seeing pockets of better performance and pockets of not so good performance. So the jury is probably still out.
So what are the pockets of not so good performance and the pockets of better performance?
We're seeing tremendous momentum in the 20 rupee segment, for example, which is largely a rural India-driven segment. That segment continues to outpace the market and do really well. So that's one area that we are seeing a strong performance. Like I said, Colgate Strong Teeth has been relaunched. It is our flagship brand. It is also has a substantial part of its business coming out of rural India, and we're certainly seeing momentum there as well. So these would be a couple that I would call out.
What about, the input environment situation? You did say that gross margins are likely to improve going forward because of some moderation in input costs and also premiumization. You will also, pull back some of those gross margin savings into ad spends. How do both these factors look as we look at the second half of this year?
So we are continuing to see a fairly benign cost environment, which we are seeing, which we have seen over the last few months, actually, and that continues. A lot of our major input ingredients continue to be quite benign and quite stable at that benign level as well. In terms of where we will spend that incremental money, we have significant opportunity to grow the oral health in this country. So like I mentioned, one of our key focus is really on the idea of night brushing or brushing twice a day. And a lot of effort is therefore going behind the Sweet Truth campaign and all of the surround effects around that campaign. So that becomes an area of focus. You would have noticed in the last quarter that our advertising expenditure is beginning to creep up. Yes. To support some of these initiatives.
So how much higher does the ad spend go? Because last quarter was around 14% of sales. Do you have a target band in mind?
We don't set a target for advertising. What we tend to do is to see what are the jobs that we have to do and what is the level of expenditure that's required to make sure that we're delivering to that outcomes that we are looking for. And then it gets added up and then prioritized and then run. But we don't have a band on which we run advertising.
We often speak about Palmolive, and you keep saying that you intend to grow Palmolive twice your overall portfolio. How has that fared so far?
So I think it's been a mixed year on Palmolive. There have been, again, like I said, some areas where we've done really well. In channels of the future, we've actually had a very good year on Palmolive, whether it's modern trade or it's e-commerce. We have some work to do outside of these two channels, and that's the focus going forward for next year. We see tremendous headroom opportunity for growth because the categories in which Palmolive plays are growing in very, very strong double digit, or the categories of strategic interest for us are growing in very strong double digit. And so we see significant opportunity for us to capitalize and grow faster than category growth.
So let's put you in the spot before we let you go, Prabha. The growth targets that you have for the second half of this year from both a value and volume perspective would be what?
Mangalam, you know that we never give a guidance on growth targets. I just suffice to say that what we've seen so far this year has, I think, been a building momentum in this company and this fantastic brand. And I can only say that our continued plans look like we should be able to continue this momentum.
Continue or improve upon the growth?
I think you can read it either which way because momentum is momentum.
All right, and finally, you did say that there is a lot that you can talk about in terms of acquisition, and you don't want to say much. What has happened here? We've been talking about this for almost 6 months now.
You know better than me, Mangalam, that acquisitions are not something that happen in a matter of quarters. They take time, they take effort. The only thing I want to say is that our commitment behind diversifying our portfolio and getting into categories beyond oral care remains steadfast. We have plans. The plans will take time, and we are going to be patient behind those plans.
So is it the same acquisition targets that you were talking to, and those conversations are going in the right direction, or some conversations have fallen through and you're looking for newer targets right now? Let's put it that way.
Actually, Mangalam, I'm going to desist from answering that question as well. Just suffice to say that acquisitions remains an area of interest for us, as does diversification using our global portfolio, as does growing the Palmolive brand that we already discussed.
But earlier it was very high up on the agenda. What happened now?
It is still very high up on the agenda. So, yeah, nothing has changed.
Well, that was a candid Prabha Narasimhan, who's the MD and CEO of Colgate, saying that rural demand is still a little patchy, though there are underlying trends of premiumization which are doing well. And the second half sees some momentum, and acquisitions is something that we will be tracking from a Colgate standpoint. Take a short break, come back. The lineup of strong guests that we have for you today on occasion of our 25th, us entering the 25th year continues.